And that's good stuff. It's fun to teach wives how to be totally pure and deal with a husband who is in total defilement. It's exciting. That is really fun. She can walk through life in peace and joy and everything and not put up with any of his stuff. What does it do to him? It exposes everything, makes him feel really bad. Okay? What happens then? He eventually comes to the end of himself, and we get to minister to him, and we get to bring the priest of the home back into the things of God, and it's exciting. Okay? I have this attitude that there's nothing that we can't be set free from. Okay? People come to my office and be, that's my, I got more hope than they know how to swim in. Okay? So it's just like, yeah, we're going to go there, we're going to get your marriage healed. Really? Yeah, it's really fun. Okay. There's a statement here that I really want you to get to understand. B1D, where it says, sinners can't do anything but sin. Sinners can't do anything but sin. They're sinners. That's their identity. It's their whole function. That's their life. That's their vibration. That's their frequency. That's everything. Giving $1 million to the poor would be sin. Why? Because who does it glorify? Anything that doesn't glorify God is sin. Anything done without faith, the Bible tells us, is sin. What is faith? Faith is a believing and trust in the Jesus Christ, okay, in God the Father. That's what faith is all about. Anything done without faith is sin. Sinners sin. That's what they do. The reason I bring that up is I don't want people to just make sinners, kind of dress them up to make them act like Christians. They need to come to the full understanding that they need Jesus. They need the blood of the cross. That's it. Okay, you can't dress them up and make them act like Christians. Doesn't work. You got to know that they are sinners. They need salvation. It's the way it is. Number 2, as believers, we have so much more than we've ever thought we'd have. We just haven't understood how valuable the things of the Spirit are to us. We're still deceived into walking into things that are not of God. You say, well, you can't say that about me. Well, okay. If you really want to let us examine how much of your life is turned over, if there's any deception in your life or not, that's one of those, probably better not have that full examination. We are all deceived in some way, shape, or form about stuff. Okay? We're there. We're none of us, not a single person I've ever met, has ever been totally Christ-like yet. Okay? I'm working on it. How close am I? I don't want to talk about it. Now, let's go on. Okay, but I am working on it. Okay, the flesh is when we're walking in our selfishness. That's what flesh is all about, is our selfishness. It's actually, and I'll put this out there, it's not in here in the outline, but there is only one sin. There is only one sin. It's idolatry. All of it boils down to that. Okay, what is it? Usually you worshiping you. That's the way it boils down. And you finally get it down to the very basic common denominator, there it is. Okay, it comes down to that. Sin is always a choice. Always a choice. Okay, you don't have to sin. Sin shall not be your master. You don't have to. The Bible tells us that. You don't have to. God would not tell us to walk in holiness if we couldn't. So sin is always a choice. But we do make it a choice, and we do choose it. That does happen. When we choose opposite things of God, we open ourselves up to trouble. That's a good statement. Now let's get into some scripture here. This is going to be a unique one for a lot of you. Have you ever heard that scripture? It says, how is anyone able to enter the house of the strong one and plunder his goods if he does not first bind the strong one, and then he will plunder his house? And I've heard this taught in almost every single intercession course I've ever had, where people are taught how to bind Satan. That is absolutely not true. Not true at all. Why? Because Satan isn't the strong man. Binding the strong man is not our job. That's not what we do. That is what Satan does. Satan isn't the strong man. The man of the house is the strong man. Now look at this. None of this makes sense. For one, why would I want to enter into Satan's house and plunder his goods? Not so much. None of that makes sense. So why would I bind him, then plunder his house? No. What happens is if the enemy can bind the strong man of the house, what's he do? Then he can go in and plunder his goods. The one that is keeping that thing out is bound. The man of the house is a strong man. Now, when I have people that I know, single people that are living alone, even single women living alone. Who's the strong man of her house? She is. What a woman. All right. Okay? She's the strong man of her house. If Satan wants to mess up stuff, what's he do? He binds her. He gets her bound up in something so that she cannot function. If the enemy wants to plunder our house, he must first bind us. When we are bound, we're not effective, even in our own house. The way we are bound is when we are deceived to choose sin. When we start submitting to sin is what binds us so that we don't have the strength to be able to do what we've been called to do. We can't take up arms when we're bound, which brings us to another verse. Verse 11, Luke 11, 21, 22. It says, when the strong one, having been armed, guards his dwelling, his goods are in peace. But as soon as one stronger than he having come, he overcomes him, he takes away his armor in which he relied and deals out his arms. Who's the strong man? Okay. Who's the enemy? Okay, if I am not strong in the Lord, then one who is stronger than me comes and takes things out. When I submit to the things of Satan, he is stronger than me. When I submit to the things of the negative spiritual realm, I lose my strength. Where is my strength? Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God. It's got to be strong in the Lord first. Where's your strength? Well, this isn't hard to figure, guys. This is not rocket surgery. I heard that one day. I went, wait, is it rocket science or brain surgery? I don't know. This is not rocket surgery. Anyway, so it comes down to, if a guy's standing out in front of a bar and he's trying to be the strong man, him going into the bar to get drunk binds him up. He is submitting his strength. His strength dies. The enemy is stronger and overcomes him. And what happens? His house is plundered. Just because it's here and this is what I do. But backing up to the Matthew passage, how is anyone able to enter the house of the strong man and plunder his goods? If anybody want to do a little word study right there, go ahead and study the word goods there. It's the same word that's used for that the wife is the weaker vessel. Interesting concept. What is a strong man is actually opening up all of his goods, including his wife, to damage by not being the strong man. I thought I'd just throw that out there. It didn't cost you anything extra. I won't take an extra offering or nothing. Okay. These passages cannot be talking about Satan as being the strong man. We don't want to plunder his house. He doesn't have anything I want. Okay? None of Satan's goods are in peace. None of them. So this whole thing is just, you start examining it, and it just can't be that way. In both passages, the strong man has a problem. And what's his problem? He let himself get bound. He let himself get bound. Not being strong enough to defend his house. That's his problem. Now, I see this happening so often that it's just spooky. I see a lot of women seeking after the things of God, and their husbands are innocuous. Their husbands are nothing. They may come to church once in a while, sit there like a lump. Oh yeah, this is good. They don't take leadership of their home. What happens? See, I have seen that society has emasculated men to such a point that the church is having the same problem. Is to having men who are willing to stand up and be men. We have an interesting issue up at our church in that when we have intercession, only once in the whole time since we've started it has the men and women been equal in balance. Every other time it's been more men than women. I love it. When it comes time to prayer, fighting for the things of God, fighting for the things that are happening around us, we've got some men who are willing to stand up and be strong. When we have more men than women, that thrills me. That thrills me. Okay? But I like to promote to our men. We talk to our men strongly, very strongly about things. And most of our men are the men who help me out in our Pure Men conferences. I don't go alone. I always take somebody with me, but we have several who are able ministers to minister to people about it. Why? They're coming out of a place of strength. They were weak in it. Now they're strong in it. And now they're mean in it. They want to get men set free. There's nothing wrong with that. I like that very much. Okay? But all of this is functioning in the spirit realm. You see how this is working. If a man is not aware of the spirit realm around him, it doesn't matter. Go to work. All the people there like him. Things are going well. You get money. You get home. It's just that's most men's lives. There's so much more. So much more. Okay? When we don't do what we're supposed to, we activate the negative spiritual realm. We open ourselves up to being defeated. Now, which brings us kind of an interesting little point. Let's talk a little bit about Satan and demons. When we start talking about the negative spiritual realm, opening your eyes to seeing things that you should be seeing, if everybody in this room all of a sudden had our eyes open to the spirit realm and we could see everything that was happening in the spirit realm, what would be happening in this room? What would be happening? Oh, that's kind of interesting. Would there be any demons in this room? It's possible, because people bring them in with them. It has nothing to do with, is this church a big enough, solid enough church? People bring in things with them. Okay, would there be demons in this room? Would there be angels in this room? What would be happening in this room? It's kind of a fascinating thing to know certain people have had this happen to them, which is kind of interesting, where for a period of time God opens up their eyes and they get to see things that are beyond what they've ever seen before. This Neville Johnson, I think it is, in Australia, for 3 months the Lord opened his eyes to seeing colors. Just colors. And he could tell on the colors that were coming off of people what their attitudes were, what was going on with them. He could see dark green on somebody who was envious. He could see the dark red in somebody with anger. He could see these things. And as he walked and watched these things, because the Lord also opened up the other, he could see the positive green in people who were growing and had growth in their understanding, the difference between. And he could see the positive power of different things coming off, the differences in the colors. And the swirling came off of them. The vibrations that they came off that fed what was happening around them. It's amazing to me that a person who has a sexual focus will walk in the room and find other people with a sexual focus or find targets of their sexual focus. There's a vibrational frequency matching that happens. You can just key up with it. Drunks will find drunks. They will. It's fascinating. You can just throw a drunk in a room and he'll find the only other person in the world that will help him get his drink. Satan and demons. Are they real? Yeah. Very, very real. Okay? Very, very real. If you've been doing this ministry in any way, shape, or form for any length of time, chances are you've run across a demon or two. Okay? Yeah. What do you do with one? Okay? What do you do with them when they start showing up? You see, I didn't believe in demons when I saw my first one. Nobody ever taught us. I've been a youth pastor for over 17 years and I had never known about demons. And the first one I ever saw, it really spooked me because he was on me. The first demon I ever saw, I cast off of myself. That will increase your theological understanding of the spirit realm pretty quickly. Okay? I actually saw him in a mirror. Looked him in a mirror and looked over and there was this thing on my shoulder. I went, kind of freaked out. Now I know how to deal with them. Oh, thou foul spirit, I adjure you by the blood of the Christ who has become among us, that we can cast thee out in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Get thee hence. I know how to do that now, but then I only knew, get off of there. And he left. Okay? Yeah. So, and if you think I do the, oh, thou foul spirit, I don't know. It's the get thee off of here right now thing. That's why I still stay right there, okay? But man, I didn't know anything about demons when I saw my first one. Where did I get him? Oh, I had him. He was mine. I had him for about 20 years. He was very familiar with me. When you get into Ephesians chapter 6, it talks about, because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the world's rulers of the darkness of this age, against the spiritual powers of evil in the heavenlies. Well, these are all differences of how they function, what they do, where they place, where they've been given jurisdiction, where they've been given authority, how that works. Okay, Satan's at the top, and there is a real hierarchy of this thing, and he hates believers. He hates believers. And all the way down through his ranks, they hate believers. Chances are Satan doesn't know you. I'm not sure that I've come high enough in the spirit realm to even come across his targeting. I'm not sure. Satan himself. We use him generically, but, well, Satan did this to me and Satan did this to me. I don't think he knows you. Satan is not omnipotent. He's not omniscient. He's not omnipresent. He is not a substitute for God in the negative realm. He is a very bad substitute. He is not everywhere. He does not know everything. He has not all power. In fact, as he is so deeply entrenched in his own deceptions that he cannot know truth in most ways. Okay? He's the father of lies. So, he's deceived too. He actually thinks he can win. Okay? You can't get any more deceived than that. Okay? The guy is very, very deceived. He doesn't know us. We're not a big enough threat to him yet. And we probably aren't even known to even the territorial spirits over our area yet. Maybe not. Maybe so. Okay? We come in contact mostly with the lower level of demon. Okay? But you can only fight what you have authority to fight.